Welcome everybody. This is our first in a series of 4 webinars which we will continue to roll out in the new year, in which we will be highlighting how Prinect software and our expertise can offer much needed help during these difficult times of COVID by offering ideas and solutions. Prinect is expandable and adaptable in so many ways, and some of which you may not have considered. And so we'd like to demonstrate some of its unique features designed to get more out of your different departments and facilities, the aim to bring them closer together, hopefully to make you more efficient. Ultimately, we'd like to show you via these forthcoming webinars that by investing in Heidelberg, we are more than just about machinery. We have ideas and solutions to support you and hopefully be the perfect partner. In this session, we will start off with something simple, Portal, which is available as a standard in all recent versions of Prinect. So first of all, what is Portal? Well, Portal is an easy access to a Prinect workflow just by using a web browser. This can be done from anywhere in your factory. It takes the form of a dashboard on which there are various widgets for various tasks. And today we will show you 3 of those widgets. The Job Maker widget, which to give it its correct title is the Pending Documents widget, a Job Lists widget, as well as a Machine Status widget. But firstly, who is Portal for? It's not just for your pre-press department. Your sales administration could also use it. In fact, anybody in your factory that has access to a web browser can use it. And by showing you the Job Maker widget first, to give it its correct title, the Pending Documents widget, we need to ask you a question first, and that is, how do you currently look at supplied files coming into your factory? How do you enter jobs into your workflow? Most likely, it's your pre-press department that is relied upon to do this. But wouldn't it be easier if your sales administration could instantly see what files are being supplied? Wouldn't it be great if they could either enter jobs into the system themselves, if the pre-press department are too busy, or if they're absent? And wouldn't it be great if they could see the status of their jobs in the workflow as well as on the machines in the factory? Well, I'd like to show you this by doing a live demo of Portal itself. And so to do this, I'm going to switch my screen over to my web browser now. I'm using Google Chrome here. It could be Internet Explorer, Microsoft Edge, whatever. I have my dashboard that is displaying 3 widgets: the Pending Documents, the Job List, as well as a Machine Status widget. So let's go into the Pending Documents, the Job Maker widget, and see what it looks like. Well, on my left-hand side of the screen, which I'll open up, I can see there are some jobs that are sitting there and waiting. How did these jobs get into this list? Well, I will show you. Simply by having a shared directory that anybody can access on their desktop, we can just drag and drop any PDF that comes into your factory, into your business, into this folder. And by doing so, it will instantly show itself in the portal. Just give it a refresh to update my list. And here is my job. And in an instant, I can see what that job entails. The fact that it is 8 pages. The fact that it is A4, 210, 297. The fact that it has 4 colours CMYK plus a Pantone colour. Quite often, this is all that your sales staff need to know, and they can do this without ever dropping it into the Prinect system beforehand. Now, the reason why we call this the Job Maker is because it's from within this widget that we can actually create a job. We can do this by dragging and dropping onto this button here. Doing so will give me the opportunity to put in a job number, to choose a quantity. It already knows that it's 8 pages. I can choose a category of working methods. So these are ready-made templates that are already configured in the Prinect workflow that will automate the processing. And in this case, it will even add an 8-page imposition. I need to choose my material. I will just choose some 130 GSM Silk. I will choose a customer, one will do, and I will choose a date for it to be due, Friday. And I can say, OK. I am now processing the job into the system. You may be looking at this thinking, well, you've already got an MIS system. You would already have your job already created and within the workflow. But this tool still has a purpose in those scenarios, because I can use this still as a web browser access to vet the file that's been supplied, and I can drag and drop to an existing job that was already created by an MIS to marry the artwork up with the job that was created by the MIS. That way, having the opportunity to at least vet the files before I marry them into the job that's already in the system. So let's have a look at the job that I've just created within the workflow. And to do that, I'm going to switch my screen over to our cockpit, which I will launch now. So here is our job. It's dropped into the list. And by opening up the window, I can see that the pages are in. I can see they've been processed. I can see the imposition is there, and the pages have already auto-assigned themselves to the imposition. Nobody in Prepress has had to click a mouse once so far. We're just taking a look at this stage. I've even automated this job to go all the way through to plate output, but only when the pages have been approved. And they could be approved by somebody, again, in the accounts department. So let's go back into our portal and see how we can remotely control this job. There's our job created. We can see it's busy processing. And if I pull the right-hand window across, then I can see a little bit more information about that job displayed on screen. I can see it's 25% of its way through its entire journey through the factory. Processed the pages, but it hasn't made the plates, it hasn't been printed, and it hasn't gone through the finishing department to produce the final product. But I can see that there's 8 pages in total. All 8 have been pre-flighted OK. I can see there's a couple of days remaining until it's due. I can see who the customer is, how many colours are in the job, and of course I can see the material that was selected, 130 Hello Gloss in this case. OK, if I want to dig a bit deeper into this job, maybe this is not the right widget to use. I'll come away and I will use the Job List widget instead. Now in this widget, I can see all the jobs that are going through the system, and I can see the milestones being indicated here in terms of what stage they are at. If I was to paste in the job number of my job to filter down to this job only, then of course I can see the documents are in, the pages are processed, the imposition is done. And if we go inside of it, we can see that displayed quite clearly through our graphical display of all the milestones. 40% of the way now through the job. I can also use this to take a look at the job, to take a look at the actual PDFs themselves. And by doing so, I can take a PDF, open it up on screen, and without even having Acrobat, I'm just doing this within a web browser where I can see the content of the job if I wanted to use this for approval purposes. And I could do that. But before I do, I want to take a little look at the Preflight Report, which I can also open up on my screen. Now, we already know that it's 8 pages, we know that it's A4, and we know there's a spot colour in the job. This will show me a little bit more. For example, I can see that there is heavy ink coverage on this job. I can even see on what pages the ink coverage is being applied. This will make me choose whether or not I inform the Prepress department maybe to apply a little bit of undercolour removal to do some ink saving on this job. It might be that there's something particularly wrong with the job, so I can go back and communicate with the customer. So coming away from there, let's say that all looks good, all is okay. I'm going to approve these pages. I could do them individually, or at the top here, I can say approve all the pages and let the job go. So by triggering the approval mechanism there, back within the workflow, it will now be releasing the job off to start imaging plates. So if I move to the operations and view by sheet, I'll be able to see that, look, the imaging is now starting. Incidentally, while I'm here, I can move on to this section here and take a look at the approval mechanism for our plates, because once the plates are imaged, if you wanted to, you could have somebody physically check them. And if they have all look good, again, using this portal, maybe on a tablet or a PC in the plate room, they could approve those plates. Also here, I can update the status of my paper. If I'm using the integrated scheduler within Prinect, the scheduler will use the paper availability as a milestone to release the job onto the press. Yeah, I'm going to say my paper is now supplied, say OK, and that will now update the status of my paper. So moving on, let's have a look inside of the printing section. Now, if we go inside of there, it's not started yet. Of course, I'm still making the plates, but as soon as that process is done, I will start to see thumbnails of the jobs arrive here. I can see the production requirements down here. Notice that it's already got some overs for finishing, and even some waste overs for make ready on press. Once the job starts printing, I will actually see the actual values start to count up here. I'll start to see a thumbnail and a graphical display of its process through the factory. Really, if I want to also consider pallet sheets, I can also do that here as well. And I have a pallet sheet button up here. And this will produce pallet sheets with a thumbnail and a barcode and a job number, which can then be placed on a stack, on a pallet section to be identified in the factory. As you can see here, my thumbnail has just arrived for the pre-setting aspect of the press. And of course, the reverse side will arrive shortly as well. So if I want to see what the machines are doing in more detail, again, this is probably not the right widget to be using. Let's come away and let's have a look at the machine status widget, because this, at a glance, will give me a clear indication of what is on press right now, what job number is being processed. And if we opened it up, we would even see the thumbnail of the job. But unfortunately, we don't have a press in our showroom at the moment, so there's not much information there. So to show you what it would look like, I'm going to switch back to my PowerPoint, where I've got a nice screenshot of what one would look like on my next screen here. So at the top here, you can see the XL75 has got a job number indicating what it's doing. It's in good production. It's 30,000 impressions through 100,000 run. And if it was clicked on, then I would see a thumbnail of the job. I would see that it's running at 18,000 impressions an hour, and Ferry Kumar is our guy on press that is running the job. And yes, this can also be displayed on a smartphone or on a tablet, providing that these devices can access your internal network. So what's the benefit of all this software? Well, it's to get more out of your equipment. It's to increase your equipment efficiency. Because you can't really improve on your machinery if your other processes preceding it are maxed out. And they account for 55% of the lifespan of a job. So really, we've identified that, in the past, we've focused on improving the machinery and its efficiency. Maybe we need to start thinking about the processes. We need to focus on the yellow bar, because that yellow bar accounts typically in the industry for up to 37% of the burden which affects your overall equipment efficiency, squishing it down on average down at 27%. Now, we could reduce the burden on machinery by improving its performance, but this has a realistic performance limit. We can't really have the presses 24 hours running without stopping. We've got to stop and change plates. We've got to have shift changes. The machine's already run up to 18,000 impressions an hour. How fast do we need to go? The real gains we've identified is actually in reducing these people and process related tasks. We get that down to 10%, we could increase your overall equipment efficiency up to 54%. So we feel that by focusing on software and better working practices and support from Heidelberg, we can help you achieve these goals. So just to round off today's webinar, I'd like to finish off with a few questions and answers regarding what we've just seen. Firstly, how do you get hold of this portal functionality? Well, every Prinect system as of version 16 onwards will have portal included as standard. And every one of those systems will have at least one portal client. Pre-Press Manager is required for the job maker, whereas Press Room Manager running on its own can at least access the job list and can access the machine status. And as I just mentioned, every one of these portal systems included in all Prinect systems will include one portal client license as standard. And that portal client license can be installed as many places as you want. It's just a web browser. It's just one person concurrently accessing the system at any one time. However, those who have a Production Manager subscription from us will have access to unlimited portal clients as standard as part of a Production Manager, or ProMan as we call it, system. If you don't have Production Manager, can you purchase more portal client licenses? Well, yes, you can, but providing your Prinect system is on a contract in order to keep it on the latest version. Fortunately, we don't sell upgrades for old versions of our software anymore, so the only way to get onto the latest version is to invest in a Production Manager subscription, take benefit of all the tools that are on offer as standard. And lastly, can you run Portal on a tablet or on a smartphone? As I mentioned before, yes, you can, providing these devices can access your internal company network or from outside using VPN, for example, virtual private network. Otherwise, if you want internet access, even for your customers, that's something that we will show you, hopefully, on another webinar early in the new year, next year. And we will show you that via our Pre-Press Portal service. Pre-Press Portal service as a separate module becomes a standard within the Production Manager subscription. For those of you who have got a Prinect workflow that's on contract, this would be an additional license that you can purchase to go onto your system that also requires its own server to guarantee security when accessing the internet. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch this webinar and see our portal. Say the first session was just a little light starter. We will have further seminars in the new year to look at other subjects. And if you have any questions on what you've seen today, please don't hesitate to email me at dave.naylor@heidelberg.com. And I will finish by saying thank you very much and goodbye.